We suffer more in imagination than in reality is one of my favorite Seneca quotes. Most of my own struggles, most of my negative moods, most of the things that affect me are literally self-caused by me stressing about things that never actually happen. I spent 6 days pissed off at the world. My garage door wouldn't work and I almost ripped it off the hinges, and it has nothing to do with the garage door. You might hear someone say something like, "They really just stabbed me in the back with this one." They did something that made you feel betrayed. How does that make you feel? Because you might be able to find the motive that drove them to do that, and you might not be happy about it, but you'll certainly understand it better than "they just stuck a knife in my back." And so I don't want you suffering in imagination. It's one of the things that I really try to help people with, and here's why that happens. We suffer more in imagination than in reality is one of my favorite Seneca quotes. How many things have you been hyper stressed about coming up next month, next year, and it never really comes? I would say for most of us, that's like 80% of the things we stress about don't actually happen. And if they do, they don't happen exactly the way that we thought they would. We're very poor predictors of what's coming down in the future. And that's because our brain is literally a survival machine trying to take all of our experiences, all of the negative it sees, and pre-predict what could hurt us and then stop us from walking down those paths. And when I was studying philosophy a lot when I was younger, that one really hit with me, because I realized that my mind is really not a nice place to live. And if I'm being fully transparent, it's a way better place to live than it's ever been, but it's not a utopia. Most of my own struggles, most of my negative moods, most of the things that affect me are literally self-caused by me stressing about things that never actually happen. As an example, I want to get vulnerable. One of the main ways that I attract clients to the Rebuild program, where I help people change their lives through their personal development journeys, their body, their mind, their spirit, I use social media as a tool to acquire clients. It's a huge lead magnet of mine. For some reason, I had got punished from a successful ad and just repeated script. And so my messaging on my account got shut down for 30 days. Well, the second that happened, I start spiraling into, now this month is cooked. Now the quarter is cooked. What if I start losing clients and I can't retain anymore? Like, I just catastrophized. I spent 6 days pissed off at the world. My garage door wouldn't work and I almost ripped it off the hinges, and it has nothing to do with the garage door. It had to do because I'm stressing about a business thing that I feel like I have no control over. And when I get angry, I feel powerful and it gives me a sense of control. And so that's kind of my weakness, right? But you can see that all of that anger that I lived in, all of that suffering that I lived in, that was due to suffering from something that actually wasn't real. When I look at my business, it's like, well, nothing changed from yesterday. The client successes are the same. Have I gone through periods of having other issues similar and survived? Yes, like multiple times, way bigger ones, with less tools and less team, less people. And so I don't want you suffering in imagination. It's one of the things that I really try to help people with. And here's why that happens, in my opinion. The words you use to describe experiences will become the experience. Right? So if you've had a really hard time at work with someone and you feel betrayed by someone, let's say you felt like they did you wrong, you might hear someone say something like, "They really just stabbed me in the back with this one." And fair enough, maybe there was an injustice. I'll often spin someone around who says that, and I kind of rub my hand up and down their back, and I'm like, "There's no knife." And, "Well, you know what I mean." I'm like, no, what do you mean? They did something that broke your trust. They did something that made you feel betrayed. How does that make you feel? And if you ask yourself 2 or 3 deeper questions from the surface level ones that usually pop up, that actually changes the experience. Because you might be able to find the motive that drove them to do that, and you might not be happy about it, but you'll certainly understand it better than "they just stuck a knife in my back." And that's a really important distinction. Same thing with someone who comes to me and says, "Dylan, I'm in pain all the time. I want to get my health in order. I've tried everything." And I'm like, "Oh, really? You've tried everything? What have you tried?" They'll name 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, "Okay, what else?" Maybe another 1 or 2 things. I'm like, "Okay, what else?" By the end of 3 or 4 questions, I've walked them off of a cliff where they know exactly what they're saying is nonsense. All of it. The truth is they tried a few things that probably could have even worked very inconsistently for a very short amount of time. They had a poor expectation, and then the words and stories that they used to describe that experience became the experience, which shunned them away from not trying it again. Because as you step into something that you cower from, the anxiety will grow the more that you avoid, and that gap starts to dissipate so big that you can't even make a first step. And so inside of the Rebuild, one of the things we do is shorten the distance between who someone says they are and the way they're acting that out. Close that gap, and you'll no longer suffer in imagination nearly as much. And so that's one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite philosophers. I want to start doing this a little bit more, just kind of breaking some of these simple mindset hacks down that have really helped me develop myself and many clients over the years. If you found this video useful, I would love for you to like, subscribe, comment, share, and thank you so much for being here.